When did these occurrences start?
Soon after we moved in.
I've seen ghosts before, all those years ago.
I can see things too.
But this one's different.
The movie has darker themes, but you guys still manage to keep it incredibly light. How do you manage to find the right balance between horror and comic relief?
Well, I think not every, but most good scary movies actually have a lot of comedy laced in them. Like at the Paranormal Activity movies, there's a lot of funniness, there's a lot of jokes in those movies, and there are a lot of jokes in Insidious between Specs and Tucker. And I think that serves a real purpose in horror, which is that you start to relax as an audience, you start to laugh, and you forget you're in a scary movie. And then when you get scared, it's much scarier because you're not ready for it. So it's very deliberate that we do that. And how do we do it is we do it by we continue to hire and continue to work with Leigh Whannell, who's just got a great voice and is very adept at making something funny and scary at the same time without the funny making fun of it. If you do something funny and it starts to make fun of the movie will never be scary.
This movie goes deeper into Elise's history. Was it especially challenging because the demons are now connected to her?
It made me think more about how I became who I am, obviously. And I was just telling one of the interviewers too, as an actress, I always come up with a backstory for myself. You know, who was I when I was a child? Because it informs who you are, even if the audience never sees anything about that, and it informs the way you do things as the character. So the truth of Elise came from Leigh Whannell, the writer. So he told me what I came from and why I was like I was, and it was it's a very dark and challenging aspect of the character that unfolds, and it's a lot about family. I think it's going to provoke a lot of thought in people about our families and what mothers and fathers and children do to each other, and it's got a lot of deep thoughts in it as well as informing Elise.
This house was my family's house.
Elise? What attracted you to this franchise in particular?
What attracted me to it was early on, right after we did Paranormal Activity, I met with James and Leigh, and they came into a little office I had in Hollywood a long time ago, and they pitched this movie. And James pitched it. When he pitched it, he said it's going to be my version of a David Lynch movie. I think that's kind of accurate. Like, it's James Wan's David Lynch, definitely the first movie anyway. I actually think all of them.
I'm attracted to a good story more than anything, more than a genre even. I love comedy because I see the world as best I can with comedic eyes some of the time to get through some of the hard parts. But whether it be a comedy, drama, or horror, if it's an interesting story that inspires something, that's what draws me to it. And gratefully I've been involved in this series in particular, which has really been a real boost for me, both career-wise and personally.
Elise, there's someone right in front of you.
There's nothing.
What kind of demon do you think it's harder to deal with? The ones on the further or the ones in the real world?
The ones in the real world.
Why?
Because those are who we really have to deal with, and I think there's a lot of bad people. I wish there were less than I think there are. And I don't think they're necessarily bad people, but I think we become infused with our experiences, and it's become a very me world about me, 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 me. And to me, that's a demon.
Well, I think the ones in real life are more threatening to our well-being, like our president. He's a demon that is very threatening and very real.
You are fake news.
There's something very special about the relationship between Elise, Tucker, and Specs.
Yes.
She became like a best friend, also a mother. Did you, Leigh, and Angus also become closer?
Yes, we totally did. We really did. I love those guys. And Leigh, as you know, wrote the entire series and directed the third one. And he's an extraordinary guy. He's in every way. He's an extraordinary artist. He's got a great sense of humor. I mean, the comedy between him and Tucker is real. I mean, they could go on. As soon as Tucker shows up on set, it's like, okay already, because they don't stop. They just don't stop, back and forth. And most of what you see in the film is also a product of their relationship. And me being in the middle, I had to like, you know, kind of rein them in and have them on my arm. And it is that, actually at the end of the third one, that's kind of how we walk off, is arm in arm together. So I became quite close to both of them.
Elisa is like some sort of superhero, right? She like defeats all these demons. And if you could choose a comic book hero to be Elisa's sidekick, who would you choose?
Ooh, that's a great question. A comic book hero, Dr. Strange, I think. I think that would be a good sidekick for Elise.
Yeah. Or Constantine.
Or that would be good too. That would be good too.
These hauntings can be terrifying things.